In the previous lesson, we understood that if you would like to access your web application, this is the URL that you'll use, right? But there's a problem here. And the problem is that you may not want to use Azure Websites.net as the suffix. You may be dealing with some e-commerce products with your web application maybe, and you want to have a custom domain. Maybe call it as www.myproducts.com or something like that, right? So you would like to have your own custom name that is specific to the products or services that you're offering with this website. So you need to reserve a domain name. Traditionally, we used to do it with GoDaddy.com or BigRock or one of the hosting providers. But Azure now provides a one-stop shop for you to go ahead and reserve your domain. Now, this can be done in the custom domain section. If you haven't purchased the domain already, you can go ahead and buy and reserve a name for yourself. This process here will enable you to manage your web application's domain name directly in the portal instead of going to a third-party site to manage it. Purchasing a domain and managing a domain has been made very simple using the portal. So Microsoft will be your domain registrar. You do not have to go and buy the domain with a third party registrar. Now what you do here is in this box, you go ahead and search for the domain name. Now, in this example, we did say that I want to use a domain name like myproducts.com. All right. So you fill up all these details, contact information, privacy protection, whether you need it or not, and if you would like to have a www record. What it did in the background is search for this domain name called myproducts.com. Looks like somebody else has picked up this domain name and it has given me the following suggestions. So if you're happy with that, you select these and go ahead and fill up these fields and click on OK. That will help you get a domain name for your web app. All right, so I'll click on OK and close this. There's another second interesting point that I want to tell you is the DNS. You can go ahead and create DNS records that map the domain to your Azure web app. Well, that's the second option. The DNS uses the data records to map domain names into IP addresses. There are several types of DNS records. There's a record, there's a CNAME record, TXT record. But in this case, because it's an alias and you already have a URL here, so you will be creating a CNAME. But let's say you would like to create an A record instead of a CNAME. You can go to custom domains, and this is where your IP address is. So you can go to your DNS registrar and create a record for this IP address. The A record will map a domain name to the IP address. A CNAME, on the other hand, is mapping a domain name to another domain name. When I say another domain name, it is this which we already have right here, right? So you'll be mapping www.myproducts.com with the URL that you see here. One thing to keep in mind is that to use this service called as custom domains, you cannot use your app service plan in the free tier. It must be paid one. For example, if I go to scale up section and under dev test, I go ahead and select F1, I do not have custom domains, right? Instead, I go to production and select any one of these randomly. You will see custom domain and SSL right here. So you would not be able to use custom domain names in the basic F1 section, but the B1 does have that custom domain and an SSL section. So the only tier that does not have custom domains is F1. All right, that's about custom domains. In the next section, let's go ahead and chat about backups and how do you ensure that the backups are timely. You got the snapshots, and when there are any configuration changes or file corruption, how do you restore it?